Developments tonight in the mysterious disappearance of a Berkeley woman and her 3-year-old daughter. We first told you about Michaela and Malaya Wickerson back in August, weeks after their family last heard from them. Tonight, police say their disappearance is likely connected to 4 other missing persons cases.
And investigators believe all of them have joined a spiritual cult. Laura Barcheski talked with more family members tonight who are all still hoping for the safe return of their loved ones.
Mike and Kelly, most of the parents we talked with just want to know their loved ones are okay, as they lost all communication with them months ago.
Berkeley police say they started looking into the disappearance of these 6 people on August 12th last year. Michaela and her 3-year-old daughter Malaya Wickerson, Michaela Thompson, Gabrielle German and her 3-year-old son Ashton Mitchell, and Naaman Williams. Police say they were living in a rental home near Lambert International Airport on Graham Lane and had joined a cult following the teachings of Rashad Jamal, who is currently in prison for other crimes in Georgia. Neighbor Carrie Roberts says she saw strange things happening at the house, including meditations outside, sometimes without clothes, and originally it was only the Wickersons who lived there.
All of a sudden she had new company to move in, and then things started changing. After that, she wasn't Michaela no more.
They were last seen at the Quality Inn in Florissant. Wickerson's mother, Cartisha Morgan, says her daughter was mentally ill and they were concerned about her for a while.
She was probably suffering from postpartum depression, meeting these people online, and they just preyed on her weakness.
German's mom, Shalita Gibson, says her daughter and grandson left their hometown in Mississippi very suddenly, and she remembers vividly trying to get her to stay.
And I said, you don't know where you're going. I just got a bad feeling about this. Something just doesn't sit right with my spirit. You need to rethink this.
Investigators say behaviors of Jamal's followers include changing their name to a spiritual god or goddess, going off the grid, and entirely disconnecting from loved ones. Dr. Stephen Hassan, who helps people affected by cults, says all of these things are pretty common in cult recruitment.
People feel like they're chosen and they're special, and they're finally realizing their purpose or their higher nature.
Gibson says German also left a daughter behind, and all these families want is to know their loved ones are safe and someday hope they'll come home.
I would like for her to have a conversation with her daughter, who wakes up at night screaming for her mom, who asks why her mom isn't here.
Anyone with information is urged to call the Berkeley Police Department at 314-524-3311. Kelly.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope that you are doing well. Today we have a case that is both disturbing and mind-blowing. We're going to be talking about a group of 6 people, including 2 children, that have been missing since August of 2023. Police say that all of these people have one thing in common. They are following a self-proclaimed prophet and rapper named Rashad Jamal. Now, Jamal is the leader and creator of the University of Cosmic Intelligence, which is an online religious group that has amassed a large amount of followers very quickly, and police are concerned about the activities of this group. Now, this cult-like group follows the teachings of Jamal, who calls himself a god, and his members gods and goddesses.
I want to start off also by sending the deepest of insight to the elders in the university, 65 and older, of course, can't never forget them. Sending my deepest of insight to all my peers, those in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s in the university. Appreciate y'all for coming back for another cosmic download, you know. And to get to me, y'all, get to me how we have to go through this, you know. It gets to me, you know, going through it. And you know, just seeing it for what it is, like, and a lot of individuals when they awaken and they go through them same pains, them same troubles. When you see it, you remember who you are. So you looking at the world through a different lens. Today we're gonna talk about this map and the truth about the Egyptians. And I ain't even look. I literally went to Google. Hold on, where is that? And it's just like a bunch of questions they got. And I'm like, okay. We gonna read their questions, and I'm gonna tell you what they saying, and then I'm gonna tell you the truth. You feel me? And definitely shout out to the blue crystal babies in here, sending y'all the deepest of insight too. I ain't forget about y'all. At all. Neither. I know y'all in here with y'all parents and some of y'all teenagers, so y'all watching it on your own and y'all spreading information. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the hood too. Free the guys locked up. You feel me? In them legal plantations. Them legal plantations. All right, but so. We talking about an ancient civilization reflection, or so we think when we talking about the Egyptians. And what I want you to know before we even go into these smoothy ass questions they have on Google when you put in Egyptians. The Egyptians were never. This might blow y'all mind though, okay? But the Egyptians were not a group of beings that existed. What they say? How many years ago? 3,000 BCE? I think that's what it is. Right. If you look up, when did the Egyptian Empire start? I'm on Google. Smoogle. You know what I'm saying? When did the Egyptian Empire start and end? Right? It's going to say the dynastic period started with the reign of Egypt's first king in 3100 BCE. And it ended with the death of Cleopatra, which I'm going to lecture on her, in 30 BCE. Now, the BC stands before Christ, right? So we know Christ. We know Jesus Christ ain't real. The story is though, y'all. The story is though, but he wasn't down here. You get what I'm saying? So remembering that, now let's apply that to the whole BCE theory. Okay? Because these motherfuckers I told you when they came and landed on our planet, y'all, they used mechanisms. And then they created this time spell and use certain mechanisms to loop and jump back in time, took pictures. So they came up with all these pictures to bag up the fact that they've been here as long as us. These motherfuckers just got here. Okay? So that whole 3100 BC before Christ, it was never Christ. So let's remove that. Now let me break it down to you. When they say 3100 BCE, they want to play with the original 13 bloodlines. They like to play with the numbers, right? So that's all that 31 mean. Reverse it is 13, drop the zeros, stand for original 13 bloodlines. As far as them ending 30 BCE, once again, they want to play with the threes, right? The threes, and just give you a ending date of the Egyptians. But the Egyptians, this time of 3100 BCE, that make you think like this shit was thousands and thousands and thousands. The Egyptians was here thousands and hundreds of thousands of years ago. That's what they want you to think out there. But that's a fucking lie.
Now, besides the 6 followers that are missing, there are 3 other followers that have been charged with murder. Now, we know in recent years, online cults have become very popular, especially during the pandemic. These groups flourished like never before because people were home and online. They were looking for fulfillment. They were looking for something to belong to since people were cut off from social gatherings. People miss that connection that being with groups offers. So these online groups took advantage of people's vulnerable state. Now, there's another online cult that I'm sure everyone thinks of when we speak about online cults, and that is carbonation. Now, when doing the research for this video, I could not help but notice that there are similarities between carbonation and this group of Rashad Jamal's. Like carbonation, Jamal teaches that blacks and Latinos are carbonated beings, but he goes a little bit further with his teachings, saying that blacks and Latinos should operate on a higher frequency than the rest of society. So now the Berkeley Police Department in Missouri are looking for 6 individuals that went missing from a rental home located near the St. Louis airport. These 6 individuals are from different parts of the United States, and as I stated, it includes 2 small children. Among the missing is Michaela Thompson, who is 25, and she's from St. Louis. Naaman Williams is 30, and he is from Washington, D.C. Jeriel German is 27, and she is from Lake Horn, Mississippi. Her 2-year-old son, Ashton, is also from Lake Horn, Mississippi. Michaela Wickerson is 36, and she is from St. Louis as well. And she's with her 3-year-old daughter, Malaya Wilkerson, who is from St. Louis as well. Now, although they disappeared from the rental home, they were actually visibly seen on August 13th at a Quality Inn hotel located in Florissant, Missouri. Since the investigation has been underway and police have been looking into the daily lives and activities of these individuals, neighbors that lived next to them said that they would see the group, including the children, meditating outside naked in the yard. They would be worshiping the sun, and they were heavily influenced by these teachings of Rashad Jamal. They were totally disconnected from their friends, their family, completely led by the cult leader's doctrine and dogma. So Michaela Thompson apparently is the one that was renting the home, and the other 5 members of the group came to live with her. Her neighbors said that she went from a bright, bubbly person to a withdrawn, quiet person. It was just not like her at all. During the investigation into the disappearance of these missing individuals, police have discovered that other members of the cult have traveled at great lengths to live off the grid and stay with fellow cult members. By doing this, they pool together their resources, so it does not appear that their economic status is a factor. Investigators are actually looking into the possibility that the 6 that are missing could be living with other members of the cult. Now, the family of those that are missing are pleading with the public to come forward if they know anything about their missing loved ones. The mother of Michaela Wickerson is frantically looking for her daughter because not only is she missing, but her 3-year-old daughter is missing as well.
Mental illness is real, manipulation is real. There are a lot of things that are going on out here. If you see something is off, please take measures to get help for them as quickly as possible, because I would have never imagined that. I don't know where my daughter and granddaughter are right now.
Cartisha Morgan said that her daughter Michaela stopped working, stopped all communication with her, and just suddenly moved away. She believes that her daughter is suffering from severe mental illness, which she says was probably postpartum depression, and so meeting the members of the online cult was the worst thing that could have ever happened to her. She believes that the cult took advantage of her daughter's weaknesses. Now, Jeriel German and her son Ashton are also among the missing, and her mother, Shalita Gibson, said that her daughter and grandson left their hometown in Mississippi very suddenly with little explanation as to where they were going. Jeriel had also recently come into contact with Rashad Jamal's teachings and had also met other members of the cult. Her mother says she began acting strange. She started meditating on a blanket outside and often talked about Jamal's teachings, saying things about a high frequency, low frequency, and cosmic husbands. And as if this behavior wasn't strange enough, Jeriel, out of nowhere, decided that she was going to walk away from her life in Mississippi and go join the cult in Missouri, leaving behind her significant other and her other child. Her mother says that Jeriel walked away from her entire life and did not seem to care at all. She says she told her daughter that she didn't know anything about Missouri and it didn't sit right with her spirit that she was just gonna up and move there. She pleaded with her daughter, whose response was, "Well, I'm leaving," and she packed up her bags, abandoning her family and her 4-year-old daughter. Now, no one knows why Jeriel chose to take her 2-year-old son Ashton, but leave her 4-year-old daughter behind. Now, as I have said, this is an active and ongoing investigation. Investigators have interviewed family members of those that are missing, and Jeriel's mother says she just wants to know that her grandson and her daughter are okay. And I'm sure many of us would be feeling the same way. I'm sure that these family members are heartbroken, devastated, worried, confused. Where are their loved ones? They just want to know that they're okay, that they're not hungry, that someone is not making them do things that they don't want to do or putting them in positions that they don't want to be in. I'm sure that we all would be feeling that way. I can't imagine anything like this happening to anyone that I love, let alone my children. I wouldn't be able to get any rest. I would not be able to rest well knowing that they are out there somewhere and I don't know what's happening to them. Now, when investigating this cult, police say that the key behaviors of Jamal's followers include changing their name to spiritual god or goddesses names. They become very engaged in Jamal's online teachings, and they often share his videos, which are conspiracy theories about the government, among other things. They totally disconnect from their families. They quit their jobs. They go off the grid. And they start to live off their credit cards. They disconnect their cell phones, their social media, and they suddenly become accepting of polygamy, meditating in the nude in the middle of the day for others to see. They also start making, selling, or wearing copper-wrapped stones, keychains, and necklaces that Rashad makes and sells on his websites. And they start referring to their own mothers as a shell that brought spirit into the universe. Now, the behaviors that the members were exemplifying, that their families started noticing what they were doing, is typical of those that are influenced by a cult. Often, people that are influenced by cults feel like they are chosen by these groups specifically. That's what the draw is. They feel like they are special, and that they were specifically chosen by the leaders, and the leaders do this on purpose. They are made to feel like they have finally found their purpose. When they come into these groups, often the leaders make them feel like they are set apart from the rest of the world and society, and they need to do the right thing in order to save the planet or their family members. It's a lot of pressure for someone that may be emotionally unwell or mentally unstable to take on. That's a lot for someone to handle. So let's get into the leader of this cult, specifically, Rashad Jamal. He created his online group, the University of Cosmic Intelligence, sometime around 2021. And since then, he has amassed a large amount of followers. His mission statement on his website says that the online university is geared towards enlightening and illuminating the minds of the carbonated beings, aka your so-called Black and Latino people of Earth. He says that the Earth was originally known as Ki or Tiamat. He says that now is the time that all is being revealed and that his followers should remember who they are, which are the gods and goddesses of the planet Ki. Now, what I really found interesting was that on his website, he actually acknowledges that this information that he teaches is not for all. And that stood out to me because if he thinks that what he's teaching is really the truth, then why wouldn't it be for everybody? Why would it not be for all of humanity? Wouldn't you want everyone to get the message? Wouldn't you want everyone to be enlightened? Now, on his website, he also has a photo gallery that depicts images of people appearing to be gods or goddesses or superhuman. And he has a photo which shows the 12 cranial nerves in the brain as the 12 disciples in the Bible, and also has each disciple named as a sign of the zodiac. Now, Jamal claims to be a god that has been sent back to planet Earth to heal the planet, and he also accuses NBA players of being robots. He also says that the government is modifying the weather and that birds are actually cameras operated by the government. He also says that the state of Arizona is actually the entrance to Africa. Now, when I dug deeper into Jamal's teachings and I reviewed some of his YouTube videos, things really started to get strange. In his videos, he talks about fairies, gnomes, and other entities, other creatures that we've known historically to not be real, but he says that these things are actually real.
Before we dive into this download, it's imperative that we open this up with the right spiritual energy. So first, let me start by saying peace to the gods and goddesses of planet Kai. Peace meaning positive energy always creates elevation. How y'all feeling this evening? November in their year of 2021. It's a beautiful time to be on the planet as she restores her balance and we lead this revolution. We got a job to do. We the indigo children. We have to remember Peter Pan so we can fly again. Peter Pan. Been away from Never Never Land too long. In the Matrix, you forget how to fly. You forget who you are. Age is real. They rob you of your imagination. One of your most powerful tools is your imagination. Because in your imagination, you create whatever you want to create. You see how they slaughtered your imagination? If we live in a mental space, a mental world where you think everything to existence, because you create it, imagination is a powerful tool now, isn't it? We live in a realm where you create anything you speak, anything you think. You are a magnet. You attract everything to you with your thoughts and your words because your soul is a magnet. Your imagination is everything. This is why you forgot about the elves and the gremlins. They are elemental beings. You forgot about the elves, the gremlins, the trolls, the gnomes, the fairies. That was all a part of your imagination. As a child, you knew those beings to exist. So they had to show them to you. But once they were able to cross you over, after so much time of spending years in their matrix, they killed your imagination.
And it doesn't end with the university. Rashad is also a rapper with a very influential social media following. He has more than 84,000 followers on Instagram, nearly 176,000 on TikTok, and over 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Now, you would think a person such as Jamal that calls himself a god would be an upstanding person, right? Well, wrong. Rashad Jamal is currently in prison after being convicted of child molestation and cruelty to children. A Georgia judge sentenced him to 18 years in prison and then another 22 years on probation, which is a total of 40 years for his crimes. The child that he is convicted of abusing is actually the child of his ex-girlfriend, with whom he also shares a son. The child was suffering being abused by Jamal and went and told her mother, and when her mother went to the authorities and turned him in, she is now receiving death threats from his followers. They believe that it is all a setup and that the child is being coached to lie. They say that the case against Jamal is designed to stop his spiritual power and reach. They have started an online petition seeking his release, which has garnered over 9,000 signatures, and more people continue to sign it every day. His supporters believe that Jamal is being set up by undisclosed and powerful forces, and his wife uses his Twitter account to send messages to the followers on behalf of Jamal. Now, after his conviction, his wife went on Instagram and appeared to be crying while she was speaking, and she was saying that the evidence was tampered with and that there was no evidence. But my question to this is, if there was no evidence, then how was it tampered with? Now, of course, Jamal's followers took his conviction as proof that spiritually powerful Black people are targeted by the government. And on TikTok, many of them posted a video where Jamal had previously said that they were out to get him. Since his arrest, those that are members of the organization have still been supporting Jamal and his website by encouraging people to buy crystals, music, and his teachings that are sold on the site, in hopes that the revenue generated can be used for his defense. Now, what troubles the authorities about this group and what makes them concerned for the 6 that are missing is the level of violence that the members are capable of. For instance, Yasmin Hitter and Crystal Pinkins. These 2 women committed some serious crimes in 2022. They were convicted of murder after shooting 22-year-old Adam Simji, who was hiking with his girlfriend Michaela Paulus in a state park in Alabama. Hitter had flagged down the couple and told them that her car was parked about 1/8 of a mile away and that she was having trouble starting it. The couple followed her to her car, and they even tried to start it with jumper cables once they got to the car. Michaela even called her father, who is a mechanic, trying to get advice because she really thought that Hitter's car had really broken down. Little did she know that the car had actually broken down weeks earlier, and this was all just a ploy to rob the couple. Hitter suddenly pulled a gun on Michaela and Adam and ordered them to empty their pockets and walk further into the woods. Adam then told Hitter that everything that they had was back at the van and that she could have it. But he then made a move that would change things completely. It turns out that Adam also had a gun in his waistband, and he pulled it on Hitter and told her to drop her weapon. To which she says, "Are you serious?" And then she shoots her gun. And then a wild gunfight ensues with both of them being injured. Adam was shot in the abdomen once, and Hitter was shot 3 times in the abdomen. Now, when Michaela told investigators about the incident, she said that when Hitter was shot and slumped up against a tree, she asked Adam why did he shoot her, because it wasn't supposed to turn out like this. Apparently, she thought she was dying. Now, during all of this, Crystal Pinkins was watching from the woods. And when they started shooting, she briefly came out, but then fled the scene. Michaela then called 911 as she frantically tried to save Adam's life. She pulled off her shirt to try to stop the bleeding to Adam's abdomen. Adam then lost consciousness, and even though Michaela was doing chest compressions, sadly, he died. Now, when the police arrived, they tracked Pinkins to a base camp that they described as an off-the-grid community where Hitter and Pinkins had been living in tents in the woods. And when they arrived, they were met by Pinkins' 5-year-old son, who was wielding a gun. He eventually put the shotgun down, and they were able to arrest Pinkins. Pinkins later told FBI agents that she had given a gun to Hitter and that they had actually tried to rob an elderly woman earlier the day before, but the woman would not follow them to their car, which was lucky for her. Then in another case, a follower of Jamal's by the name of Damian Washam, who lived in Alabama, he actually killed his mother with a ninja-styled sword. In the lead up to the killing, Washam's family said that he'd become increasingly immersed in Jamal's content, ordering edged weapons online, jewelry from Jamal's university, and developing obsessions with things like Egyptian gods and the underworld that Jamal discusses in his content. Now, in all fairness, Jamal does not advocate violence or murder in any of his teachings, so it's unclear as to what factors actually led up to Washam killing his mother. Police described the scene as very gruesome and bloody when they arrived, and they said besides killing his mother, he also had injured his younger brother by slashing him on the wrist, as well as his bedridden uncle who has cerebral palsy. Now, what shocked the police further was that after taking Washam into custody, they could not figure out his motive, and he was not remorseful at all. So they basically had a lot of questions that went unanswered. And they would actually remain unanswered because Washam was found not guilty. You heard it right, not guilty, by reason of insanity. Even with the autopsy of his mother that showed that she was cut 19 times in the head, across her back, on her left and right arms, and her left thumb being completely cut off, Washam was found to be not guilty by reason of insanity.
Tonight, a Mobile County court has found 25-year-old Damian Washam not guilty of murder by reason of insanity. Washam is accused of brutally slaying his mother with a samurai sword last January. According to the Mobile County Sheriff's Office, deputies walked into a gruesome scene inside this home on Mossap Road. 61-year-old Helen Washam found dead in the back room, an autopsy revealing she was cut 19 times in the head. Investigators say 2 other family members, Washam's Washam's brother and bedridden uncle were also injured. Washam was pulled over near US 45 shortly after. Investigators say the sword was still in the front seat. This is him on his way to Metro.
Damien, they say that you killed your mom and injured 2 family members with a sword. Did you do that?
Mobile County Sheriff Paul Birch, serving as captain at the time, says the family didn't know of Damien suffering from any mental illness, but prosecutors argued his mental status be evaluated last November. Almost a year later, that evaluation found Washam legally insane of murder, attempted murder, and assault.
Now, I found this to be horrific and absurd, especially given the fact that investigators later ended up testifying during his court hearing that the attack actually resulted from an argument that the family was having over marijuana. And then after Washam had killed his mother, he hopped in a vehicle and fled the scene. He was actually pulled over by police with the sword still sitting in the front seat of the car. So how was he insane? He had the wherewithal to leave the scene. I would think that someone that was incapable or insane would have still been at the scene. They would have remained there. They would have been out of it in some sort of catatonic state, not knowing what they had done. Drop in the comments and let me know what you think about that. So where is this missing group? Now, when police went to the rental house to look around and try to get a feel for what could have happened to these individuals, they said that the house appeared to be in a state like the people living there were just gone out for a while, but they would be coming right back. There were clothes in the dryer like someone had just washed clothes. The kitchen looked as though someone was in the middle of preparing a meal. And then for whatever reason, suddenly all of the members in the household just got up and left. Now, of course, the obvious question is, did the group leave willingly or were they met with harm? They have been missing since August of 2023, and we are now at the beginning of 2024, and no one has heard not one word from anyone in this group. Now, this is a very strange case indeed, but it is one that is still being currently investigated. So if anyone has any information or you think that maybe you have seen any one of these people, please contact 911 immediately. There are babies among this group, and my heart really goes out to them, and I just hope and pray that wherever they are, they just make it home safely, as I'm sure all of you are hoping and praying as well. Well, you guys, that about covers it for this video. As always, I am interested in hearing from you, so drop down below in the comments section and let me know what your thoughts are. If you would like to continue seeing content like this, please drop down in the comments and let me know that as well. As always, be sure to like this video, share this video, but most importantly, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.